Okay, so for your warm up, we're gonna do standing clamshells. So go ahead and at first you might wanna hold on to the wall and you're just gonna slightly turn your toe out. And if this is too much resistance, just go ahead and remove one of the bands. The lower the band is, the harder it's gonna be. So one band above the knee is gonna be the easiest. And then you can move that one band below the knee. And as you need more resistance, you can put a band above and below the knee. Once your balance improves, you can just go ahead and do it without holding on to anything, making sure you keep your core in tight, keeping your ears stacked over the shoulders. And then do about 10 to 20 on each side. And you're gonna do 3 sets of each. Warm up the glute medius. Good job. This is a single leg glute bridge, so put that weight on your hip, squeeze your glute and pause at the top. Keep your core locked. You want to distribute your weight evenly throughout that working foot of the working leg. Drive up through your heels and really squeeze the glute. Next is a single leg box squat. So you're gonna lift the heel of the non-working leg and you're just gonna squat down. At first, what you can do is sit all the way down. You can even rock back, and as you improve, then you can just go ahead and tap down. As your balance improves, take some of that weight off of that non-working leg and just use your toe to balance. Choose a heavy enough weight. We're doing 10 to 15 reps is an 8 out of 10 difficulty. Make sure you spread your toes out throughout the floor. Keep your weight evenly distributed on that working foot. Keep your core locked in, meaning you're drawing your lowest rib down towards your pelvis, keeping your pelvic floor compressed, and do 10 to 15 reps on each side, 3 sets. Progress and your balance gets better, take that non-working leg and hover it off the ground. So these are your single leg deadlifts. What you're gonna do is sort of just put the majority of your weight on your forward leg. Your back foot or toe is just meant as a brace. And what you're gonna do is lock in your lats so the torso and the shoulders stay locked. And you're just gonna hinge your hips back. You're gonna bow. And then using your glutes, you're gonna pull your pelvis forward. So it looks like this. So we're gonna use our glutes to pull our pelvis forward. Try to take your lower back out of it as much as possible. This is what it looks like from the side. So if you're putting the ball of your foot and just lifting your heel off the ground, that's gonna give you a lot more stability. And then as your balance improves, what you can do is just kind of put your toe on the ground to brace yourself. The front knee is gonna be soft and your shin should stay perpendicular to the ground. This is what it looks like on the other side. So this is sort of an advanced move. It's kind of hard for people to learn the deadlift. So I would recommend starting off double leg first, but I know sometimes trainers and certain individuals like to do unilateral, and that's great for athleticism and just everyday functionality. So again, hinging your hips towards the back, your torso is gonna bow, and we're not using our back to bring ourselves up, we're using our glutes and our hamstrings just to push the pelvis forward. Go ahead and pick a weight that allows you to do 10 to 15 on each side and 3 sets of each. So we're doing a single arm seated military press with your legs straight out in front of you. Get a little bit of hip mobility and some hamstring flexibility. So grab your dumbbells, you're gonna have one arm out for balance, really brace that core. Think about keeping your ears over your shoulders. Think about hugging your spine with your inner core muscles, and we're just gonna press up. Now, if you can get that arm in line with your ear, that's great. If you can rotate it slightly past that ear towards the back of the room, that will give you some extra mobility. An option is to turn your wrists in for more of a neutral grip. And if you can do 10 to 12, great. Your perceived difficulty out of a 10 should be an 8. Okay, so for most of you, if you're kind of just getting back into it and have dumbbells at home, that usually means you're gonna have to grab both. Let's show you on the other arm. You can just hold it like this, whatever's comfortable. Make sure your spine is not rounded, make sure it's not hyperextended, and you're just gonna press up. So keeping that core and even your pelvic floor compressed. So we're gonna do 3 sets on each side. Good. We just finished the single arm military press. That was a vertical push. Now we're gonna do a vertical pull. So if you can use your resistance band, if you don't have anything to attach it to, go ahead and tie a knot at the end, and you can put it in a closed door. Do a staggered stance. What you want to do is really engage your lats. So keep your shoulders pulled down away from your ears. Pull that shoulder blade together and pull your elbow down. Give it a nice pause and squeeze at the bottom. Keep your core locked. That means always thinking about pulling your lowest rib down towards your pelvis. You need to increase the resistance. Hold the band closer to the attachment point. So here is an alternative to push-ups. So if you have a bench at home, or if you're gonna go to the gym, that's great. You're just gonna grab one dumbbell. Brace yourself by holding the non-working arm out. Brace your core, and we're just gonna press up. Now an option is to keep your wrists facing forward, like this. Or if it kind of hurts your shoulder, you could keep you could keep actually a neutral grip, so wrist faces in. Keep your core braced the entire time. So you're thinking about drawing that lowest rib down towards your pelvis. This is what it looks like on the other side. So this would be like a traditional bench press grip where your wrist is facing forward, and a neutral grip would be here, wrist facing in. And this unilateral or single arm chest press is great because it really forces you to have to activate your core. So when you're pressing up, you're thinking about pushing your torso into the bench. Good. Okay, if you don't have a bench at home, this can be done from the ground. Your range of motion is going to be a little smaller, but you're just going to go ahead and press up. And you might be able to go slightly heavier. And this is what it looks like on the other arm. Remember to keep that core engaged the entire time. Good. So this is our single arm row. This is considered a horizontal pull movement. So again, keeping your core locked, you're gonna keep that shoulder pulled down away from the ear. Pull your elbow towards the back of the room. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. Really get a nice squeeze and pause at the top. So we're gonna get in the habit of just working on your posture, your breath, and the connection breath. So you can do this standing or seated. A lot of the times we're seated at our desk or we're driving. What you just wanna make sure is that your ears are aligned over your shoulders. Your collarbone is pointed to where the wall meets the ceiling. And you're gonna pull your shoulders back, kind of engage your lats. Now what you're gonna do is kind of squeeze your butt, just to kind of align your hips, and then let it go. And you're gonna stack your ribs over your pelvis. And once we're here with this posture, you're gonna take in a deep breath. The diaphragm goes down, your rib cage expands 360 degrees. And what you wanna be doing with your pelvic floor is relaxing it, almost like you're gonna let a toot out, but we're not bearing down at all. So we're breathing in, expanding our rib cage, relaxing the pelvic floor, relaxing everything, the perineum, and almost as if we're gonna let some air out, and then we're gonna breathe out. When you're breathing out, your diaphragm is coming back up, your rib cage is coming back in, and what you're gonna do is think of this as a canister with this pelvic floor. You're gonna compress it and do a light Kegel. So it's gonna be breathe in, expand your rib cage, let everything in your pelvic floor relax, all the inner muscles, and then we're gonna exhale. We're gonna do a light Kegel, compress this canister. And just think about doing that throughout your day, when you're driving, when you get out of bed, when you're in bed. Okay, so that's kind of setting us up for our core exercise. Our first exercise is gonna be a bird dog. I'm gonna show you core where it's anti-rotation, so we're keeping the spine neutral. So anti-rotation and anti-extension. So what we're gonna do here is stack your shoulders, elbows, and wrists. If your wrists are kind of sore, what helps is if you claw through the floor with your fingers, or you can go up on your knuckles, and we're just gonna do some bird dogs. What you wanna do here is always be drawing that lowest rib down towards the pelvis. So you don't wanna be here, you wanna draw that lowest rib by compressing your core, getting your abs to engage, draw that lowest rib into the pelvis, and you're gonna stay right here. And what we're gonna do is squeeze your glute, bring your leg up, opposite arm comes out, making sure that lowest rib is drawing towards the pelvis. And we're gonna come in, back here, pause. You don't wanna lift this leg too high, because then you're gonna get a bending of your spine. We don't want that. Always keeping that abs compressed. And then we'll just do 10 of these on each side. Don't forget to breathe. Keep that lowest rib drawn down towards your pelvis. And pause at the top here. Really squeeze your glutes. Great, and then we're gonna do the other side. So starting here, stacking, making sure your wrist, elbow, and shoulder is stacked. You're just gonna come out like this. Squeeze your glutes, pause at the top, really draw that rib down towards that pelvis. Okay, and as you progress with these, we can make them a little harder, but that'll be for later. So it's gonna kind of look like this, where your knees are hovering and you're just coming out like this. Really having to squeeze that core. You can do the same side, 10 reps, or you can go ahead and alternate. And then once we get even stronger, you can put a weight on your back. Always making sure that you have that cue in your brain to draw your rib, your lowest rib down towards your pelvis. So work on that for later, maybe not today. Okay, next we're gonna do dead bugs. So you're gonna get on your back. Okay, and what you're gonna think about in this position is tilting your pelvis this way. So you're kind of rocking your hips, rotating it this way, drawing that lowest rib down towards the pelvis. If you have a mini ball, you can use that. Otherwise, we're just gonna push hard with the knee driving into the opposite hand. This resistance in both directions is gonna force your lower back to stay flush with the floor. And so this is the beginner option. You're gonna keep the opposite knee bent. You're just gonna tap down and come here. And you wanna make sure your lower back is flush with the ground the whole time. Okay, once you advance, and the hardest part is gonna be when you have that leg extended. Your lower back's gonna wanna come up off the ground. Keep it flush to the ground. And the way you're gonna do that is again by drawing your lowest rib down towards your pelvis. This is what it looks like on the other side. So you're gonna push hard with your hand into your knee, actively pushing the whole time. And this is our beginner option, where we're gonna keep that knee bent and just tap down with your toe, keeping that lower back flush with the floor. And as you progress, go ahead and extend that leg out. So do 10 reps on each side, or even you might only be able to do 6. We're gonna progress to about 10, 11, or 12. Just always making sure that when that leg is extended, you're really pressing that lower back hard into the ground. Good. And then the last one is a little bit more advanced. You can just save this for later when you're a little stronger. So we're gonna get back up to all fours again and come into a plank position, clawing through the ground to kind of ease some of that pressure on your wrists, or you can go up here on your knuckles. And what you're doing is drawing again that lowest rib down towards your hips, and we're just gonna do alternating taps. So it looks like this. What you're resisting here is your hips from rotating side to side to compensate. Think about having your hips being square to the ground the entire time. So when you lift that arm up, you're really having to squeeze hard here, compress everything in here to keep your hips from rocking side to side. Always cueing yourself to draw that lowest rib down towards your pelvis. Good. So see if you can do 10 on each side. Keep your glutes engaged. You don't have to squeeze them as hard as you can, but just keep them engaged. So make sure they're lightly squeezing the entire time. Good. So if you can do 2 or 3 sets of each of these, that's great.